good on LinkedIn. We are active on Facebook. We are good on Rumble, YouTube, and X. Good morning to all those platforms. We are good over on Instagram from what I can see, and we are active on TikTok. So good morning to everybody. We got all the platforms working, at least for now, so far this morning. What's this? Hope everybody's having a great start to your Thursday. Y'all see what the topic is here today on TikTok. I don't think y'all can see the topic. On TikTok, can you see the title of the stream when I do these streams? Those of y'all who are on TikTok, put a yes or a no in the comments. Can you see the title of the stream when you join? Does it tell you what I'm actually talking about, or does it just show you that I'm live? Before, people were telling me that they couldn't see it, but I know on the other platforms they can see it. So they don't show you the topic. So I got a no and a yes. So can y'all see the title of the stream on TikTok? I need more information. I have a small data set so far of can you see it or not? And I'm getting another no. So the topic here today, what we're going to talk about is the WNBA hurting itself, maiming itself. No, I'm not talking about in the comments, but when I start a live stream on TikTok, they ask me what's the title of the stream. So I'm not talking about a pinned comment. I'm talking about, can it just tell you what the topic is? Because when I start the live, TikTok asks me what's the title of the stream. I always put it in there, but I'm asking, can you all see the title? And a bunch of you are saying that you cannot see the title. So I don't know where this title goes, but TikTok always asks me to give a title, but then apparently they're not showing you all what the title is. I don't know why that is. Y'all can talk to TikTok about that. But the topic here today is WNBA's race-driven nonsense. How the WNBA is actually hurting itself with this race-driven nonsense that they keep, as I said, that they keep buying into and they keep fanning the flames of. And I will tell you all exactly what they're doing, why what they're doing is hurting their business, and the context of this and why it all matters in the bigger picture for everyone, especially those of you who are sports fans. That's what we're going to discuss here today. So for those of you who don't know, the WNBA season is back. WNBA season is in the summertime, so they usually start around the time the NBA will be winding down. So the NBA is in the conference finals right now. The NBA finals will start in about a week and a half, and then NBA season will be over. And then the WNBA season goes from now, starts around May, and then it goes to about, May, June? I think about 4 months, maybe into early September or late August. And WNBA is back. They play about half as many games as the NBA plays, a little bit more than that. And the issue for the WNBA, actually, there's more than one issue, but they've had several issues. And WNBA has been around for about 30 years. A lot of people didn't know, but it's become a news item that they have not turned a profit yet. In all the years of their existence, they have basically been funded by the NBA, which has a whole lot of money. And I've always said that the WNBA is the NBA's charitable donation to feminism. So, and because of that, the WNBA will never go away. Even if they never make a profit, they will never go away because the NBA is just going to keep funding its existence. Because if the NBA was to drop the WNBA, citing that, hey, the league is not making any money, there will be a complete social uproar. And the NBA doesn't want to take that black eye to its reputation for whatever it would be worth. They are always going to keep the WNBA around whether it makes money or not. So even though people discuss that, and I've discussed it, it really doesn't matter because the league is always going to exist. And another issue with the WNBA is that they generally just have not had as much interest. The league has not drawn as much interest as, of course, not compared to the NBA, but you shouldn't even hold it to the NBA as a standard. But could it stand on its own 2 feet without the backing and support of the NBA up to this point? The answer has generally been no. Financially, it could exist. It's just the players wouldn't be able to make as much money. And a lot of the things that the WNBA offers to its players, it would not offer if it was a standalone business because it would not have the resources to do so. A business can lose money for several years. There are many tech businesses that lose money for many years before they start making money, if they start making money. So a business losing money does not necessarily mean that they cannot exist. We got to be clear. However, the things that the WNBA has done for its players, such as the chartered private planes that they started mandating for every team last season, don't make sense when your business is not making money. And the raises that they have given to players. The minimum salary in the WNBA is around $76,000 for 4 months of work. If you normalize that out over a 12-month work schedule, which is what most people work, then that's over $220,000 per year. So if you're earning $220,000 per year in the United States of America, you're in the top. I think that puts you in the top 3 to 5% of income earners in America. So if you ever hear anybody saying that WNBA players have to play year round just to make ends meet or to make money, that's a bullshit argument, because anybody who's earning $220,000 a year is doing pretty well. You don't need extra money. You don't need a side hustle if you're making $220,000 a year. You don't need one. Now, if you want to have one, fine, go get it. You want to make some extra money because you're ambitious financially, go make your money. But this whole concept that WNBA players need to work year round just to make money is a nonsense idea that has been spread by a bunch of people who don't understand simple mathematics. But anyway, they've given raises to the players over the years, even though the league is not making any money. Most businesses, if your business is not making profit yet, you cannot afford to give a raise to your employees. But the WNBA has given raises to their employees, even though the league is not making any money, which doesn't make any sense. But again, when your league is run as a charitable donation to feminism, things don't have to make logical sense for you to do them anyway, because they make emotional sense, because you don't want to deal with the the backlash that you may get if you say or offer the wrong idea. So WNBA's focus so far this season, season just started like less than a week ago. Instead of the focus being on actual competition, skill, growth of the game, basketball, what's happening is another racial debate. This time it's been centered around, and we touched on this yesterday when I was talking about Ryan Clark and Robert Griffin III, it's been centered around this black player named Angel Reese, who came into the league last season, and this white player named Caitlin Clark, who also came into the league last season. Now, Clark, for example, has helped the WNBA significantly for several reasons. One, her presence has drawn a huge swath of casual fans. And by the way, those of you who are hardcore sports fans, be careful when you are throwing around the term casual as a pejorative to talk down on people who are not diehard fans like you, because your favorite players and your favorite teams are able to generate the money they generate, not from the pockets of the diehard fans, because there are not enough of you for a league to make the money that it makes just off diehard fans. You all are a small percentage of the fan base. The majority of the fan base are the casual fans. The people who only get excited when there's some big news or big story or something they're supposed to pay attention to outside of everything else that's happening in life. The casual fans are where the money comes from. All right, just to be clear. All right, your favorite athlete, the amount of money they make is because of the casual fans, not because of the diehard fans. Not because diehard fans don't spend money, but simply because there are not enough diehard fans spending money for your favorite athlete to make $1 million or $50 million in a season. So Caitlin Clark's presence in the WNBA has brought in a whole bunch of casual eyeballs to the WNBA. And because of this, the players went and leveraged those casual eyeballs and said to the league, hey, we all need to fly private chartered planes because it's dangerous for us to fly commercial. Again, another illogical nonsense point. It is not dangerous to fly commercial in the United States of America. As a matter of fact, being inside an airport terminal or being on an airplane are two of the safest places you can be in the United States, because nobody has a weapon except the federal authorities who are in there. And there's not too many bad things that can happen to you in a place like an airport or on an airplane. But anyway, again, these logical points that I'm bringing up do not need to make logical sense for the WNBA to go ahead and follow through with them, as we can see. We already got proof and all this. So Caitlin Clark's presence has brought more attention to the league. And with that attention, the players smartly leveraged this attention and said, well, look at all this attention we have. Look at all the people paying attention to us. Hey, we're in a bad shape. We're not making enough money. We don't have private planes. And they basically appealed to society to say this is wrong because look at what the men have versus what we have. And again, logically, that doesn't make any sense, because you can say, well, the men's league earns a whole lot more money than the women's league. Of course, they have things that the women don't have. That's just called fair. This is called life. But again, logical points don't matter in an emotional argument. And their argument was, well, we should have it anyway. And guess what? The league capitulated, and now they have private planes. Now they're getting raises. And I believe it's this summer that their collective bargaining agreement, which if y'all don't know that term, collective bargaining agreement is basically the agreement between the labor and the employers. So any of you know anything about unions, the collective bargaining agreement, WNBA has a union. That's all the players are part of the union. And then you have the owners. Those are the employers who are actually paying them. Their contract is up at the end of this season. And the speculation is that the WNBA players union are going to fight for a much better deal and bigger contracts and more money for them. And they're basically going to use the NBA. This is my prediction. They're going to use what the NBA has as a model for what they have and for a model for what they want. And the WNBA players are going to try to command and demand $1 million salaries and a whole bunch of more perks for the players, even though the league is not even making any money. And hopefully, if the league has a more positive trend this season, like they had last season with the emergence of Caitlin Clark, then it will sort of kind of make some logical sense, even though it still won't make logical sense. My prediction is they're probably going to get a much better deal next time around when this season ends than what they have right now. Even though, again, as I said for the 8th time already here today, logically, this doesn't make any sense. And the reason I'm bringing all of this up is not to talk about the business of the WNBA specifically, but to talk about how that means the WNBA as a whole, the league, the coaches, the players, the owners, the fans, all of them put together. And I say them because I am not a fan of the WNBA, but I will use the WNBA as what the hell just happened here? Just got to reload over on, what is this? Something on Google Docs. I'm sorry. Something just interrupted me here. All right. So I'm not a fan of the WNBA, but I will use the WNBA for content purposes, which I'm doing right now. I don't have to be a fan of anything to use it for content as long as I understand it and can explain it. The WNBA has leaned into, stupidly, and when I say the WNBA, I'm talking about everybody, the fans, the analysts, the players, coaches, everybody, this racial angle between Miss Reese, the black player, and Miss Clark, the white player. And the players themselves, I think Miss Reese has leaned into this significantly. She has leveraged this a lot. We'll get to her in a second. Miss Clark, Caitlin Clark, has not leaned into this at all. She has pretty much stayed above the fray and pretty much just focused on basketball. And there's reasons for that. One reason is Caitlin Clark is very, very good at basketball, which is Miss Reese is good at grabbing rebounds. She's not very good at many other aspects of the game other than being tall. And being tall is a skill in basketball. She's about 6'3". She's about my height. But for a woman, that's very tall. And the WNBA leaning into this is hurting their product. And there are several reasons why it's hurting their product. That's what we're going to get into here today and in the subsequent discussion. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I'm the author of 41 books. You see some of them behind me on the shelf. I've done 4 TEDx talks, and I created and own this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. We take the tools to help athletes reach the top of the sports world, and we have created a system that translates those tools from the sports world into the business world. So this is why I work with people in the sales industry, small business owners, big companies, sales teams, entrepreneurs, and people who are just getting started in business to take the mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability necessary to get their business where they want it to go. The same way you systematically do that as an athlete, we help people do it in business. You can learn more about that at workonyourgameuniversity.com, or just click any of the links you see in my profile or bio. They will all basically funnel you to the same things. So let's get into this. And by the way, I'm going to take questions and comments at the end of this. I am live on 7 different platforms right now, from TikTok to Instagram to LinkedIn, Facebook, Rumble, X, YouTube, and did I say all of them? I think I said all of them. So just so if you all see me looking at different screens here, I'm not looking at the comments while I'm talking, but I will address comments when I'm finished. So Caitlin Clark, this is the white girl who plays for the Indiana Fever of the WNBA. She has single-handedly generated more attention than the WNBA than the entire league was able to generate in the last 10 years. This one white player has generated more attention for this league in 1 year. She just came to the league last year. This is her second season. She generated more attention for the league than the league did in the last 10 years put together. And probably that with that attention comes money. And some of the things that I've heard some people saying about the WNBA discussion, when people like myself jump into it and say it, there are some people who are, I guess they call themselves diehard fans of female basketball or of the WNBA. They get mad when people like me come in with opinions and they're like, you don't even watch the games. You're not even a fan, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I just fucking told you, I don't watch the games and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the WNBA. However, I will talk about it. And if you're a diehard fan of the league, you should be happy when people like myself take time to talk about the WNBA. Why? Because I'm driving attention to it, whether you agree with what I'm saying or not, whether you agree with the flavor of the attention or not. You should be happy that there is attention, because with attention comes money. All right, this is the way business works. If you want to make money, you have to get somebody's attention first. People usually don't give you money unless you have their attention. So the WNBA, the attention that it's gotten has mostly come from this white girl, Caitlin Clark, and a bunch of fans of hers. She is from Middle America. She went to Iowa University in college. I believe she is from the state of Iowa. She is as white as a picket fence, and she has a whole lot of white fans, naturally. The same way Angel Reese has a bunch of black fans because she's black. So a whole bunch of white fans have come into the WNBA. The issue is, this is the underlying issue that they don't talk about, is that a lot of professional basketball players in the WNBA are not white. They're black. Basketball is a sport that is generally dominated by black players. Look at the NBA, which is probably about 80% black, maybe more than that. And the WNBA is probably close demographically. There's a lot of black females, and a lot of them are not heterosexual. They're attracted to other females. And Caitlin Clark, last I heard, she was in a relationship with a man. So she's heterosexual, and she's white, and she happens to be really good. See, if she wasn't that good, then this wouldn't matter. She's really good. She has the most fans of any player in the league. She's white, and she's heterosexual. So this is cutting against the grain in many ways, and this is where the conflict starts. And the main reason why this conflict is happening is because a whole lot of black people, whether that be the players in the league who won't say it out loud, but I guarantee you they're saying it behind closed doors, and their fans are kind of annoyed or upset or disturbed that all of a sudden this white girl has come into the league and she has more fans than any other players. And she has brought more attention to the league than any of the other players, on top of the fact that she is really good. And again, she's heterosexual and she's from the middle of the country. She's not from the coastal cities. She is not, it doesn't seem to be, as far as what I've heard from her, doesn't seem to be into any of this woke shit or these social issues, so to speak, like some other white players who we've heard from in the WNBA. She doesn't seem to have been poisoned by any of that yet. I mean, I haven't heard her go against it, but I haven't heard her support it either. So that's all we can go with so far. So the ticket sales are up, especially with her team or any game that she plays in. The media coverage is up and the national interest is up, again, especially from the casual fans, which is what you need. Any concept, idea, or entity that you want to blow up, you got to get the casual people interested. Right now in the NBA, you got the NBA playoffs. The New York Knicks had a home playoff game yesterday that they inexplicably blew. They were up by 14 points with less than 3 minutes left, and they lost the game. How the hell do you do that? That was a monumental collapse by the New York Knicks yesterday. But I'm bringing that up to say that there's a whole lot of people in New York paying attention to New York Knicks basketball games now because they're in the conference finals and they are very close to a championship. Then who same people, they were not paying any attention to the New York Knicks in February when they were in the middle of the season, because you got to be a diehard fan to pay attention to those games. But in these games, when you're close to the championship, this is when you get the casual people to start paying attention. And again, you want something to blow up, you must get the casual attention. So instead of celebrating this growth, this is what's happening with the WNBA. The black fans, those who are a little bit disturbed by this Caitlin Clark phenomenon, the black fans, especially the loud and emotional ones, are accusing the league of racism and for something that we don't even quite know. For example, just this past weekend, there was the first game of the season was the Chicago team, which Miss Reese plays for, played against the Indiana team, and the game was in Indiana, where Caitlin Clark plays. And the Chicago team got blown out by 30 points. They were not very good in that game. As I told you, Miss Reese is getting a lot of attention, but not because of her skill set. She's not a very talented basketball player, but she is very popular, interestingly enough. Usually doesn't happen in sports. Now, they got blown out by 30-something points. And after the game, the WNBA announced, the league itself announced this, that they are investigating some possible racist behavior that happened with the fans in the game between Chicago and Indiana. Now, what kind of racist behavior are they talking about? No one has said. What exactly happened? Nobody has said. Did somebody say something? No one has said. WNBA just says they're investigating some possible racist behavior, and then they're putting out statements. You know how people come out with these statements whenever something racist allegedly happened? You get the white people saying, well, there's no place for that in the game, and we got to protect our players, and this is hard for us, et cetera, et cetera. And the black players come out and say, well, I'm so glad that I'm supported, and people love me, and the league is supporting us and standing behind us, and there's no place in the game for these kind of things. But we don't even know what the fuck happened. What happened? What exactly are they investigating? Who said something? Who was it? Did they point out a fan? Did somebody specifically say something? If so, what did they say? We haven't heard anything. There's just a general speculation of something racist must have happened because the black player got blown out. The black player's team got blown out, and that black player is not a very good player. And the white team won, and it was at the home gym of the white team. So allegedly something racist had to have happened because that's what they can say to draw attention away from what actually happened on the court, which is the white girls team beat the black girls team by 35 points. So instead of just focusing on, hey, this is what happened on the court, let's go to the next game. Now we got to focus on something different. And this is where, and again, It'd be one thing if it was just the fans saying this. And I say, okay, well, fans are just everyday people, and some everyday people are stupid. Some everyday people are much more emotional than they are logical. That is to be expected. That is human nature. But the WNBA itself, the league jumping into this, is the ridiculous part. And the reason why this is ridiculous is what I just explained to you. WNBA's fan base, this new group of fans that have come into the league, are white people who love seeing someone who's from the middle of America. There's a lot of people in middle of America, and the player that they came in for is a white girl who's heterosexual from middle America. Now you want to jump into, oh, well, racism. Well, they are not looking at some black people for racism. We're looking at white people for this. This is a problem. You don't do this if you're trying to grow a business. You're trying to grow a business. The first thing that you do when you get a whole bunch of new customers, because the fans are customers, when they come in and they're looking at your product and looking at your business, that's not the first thing that you do is to say, well, we got to make sure we keep any racism from happening here. We just got a whole bunch of white fans to come in. And I'm not saying that a white person is racist just because they're white. What I'm saying is that if you just got all these new customers to come into your business, and the first thing you do is say, well, we got to watch y'all to make sure y'all ain't doing anything wrong. I'm looking at you like, mofo, what? I just came in here and became a new customer of yours. And the first thing you want to do is antagonize me with some type of suspicion that I must have done something wrong. All I'm here to do is cheer on a player in your business. And the first thing you want to do is suspect me of doing something wrong. All right, this is ridiculous. WNBA, what the hell are you doing? You're shooting yourself in the foot and hurting your own business with your own new customers who came because of your new player. And I saw Dave Portnoy, he's the guy who runs Barstool Sports. I heard of Dave Portnoy. And it was something that I saw him post. I don't know if I saw it on his account. I don't think I was on his account that I saw it, but it was something that he posted yesterday. Let me see if I can find it. But I remember what he said. So if I can't find it, then I'll just tell you. But what Dave said, and he runs this company called Barstool Sports. They're a pretty big, significant company. He has a pretty significant voice out there on the internet. I got to make sure I follow him. So I just followed Dave. But anyway, what he said was that Caitlin Clark could easily start her own basketball league, or get, not her by herself start the league, but basically with her, the attention that she has and the skill set that she has and the fan base that she has, she could get with a bunch of other people who know business, and they can be the executives who run it. She could start her own basketball league, and it would basically put the WNBA out of business within 2 years. And I generally think he's right. I'm not saying that, I'm not reporting that Caitlin Clark is thinking about doing this. I'm not even suggesting that she do it. But he's generally right. And the reason why that point matters is because the WNBA right now, the leverage that they have is that they got a whole bunch of new fans and a whole bunch of new audience and attention right now. And it's mostly because of this white girl. But the WNBA is leaning into, well, racism, the racism of Caitlin Clark fans. And this is another thing that I got to make sure we mention, that you hear a lot of black fans and probably some black players. I don't know specifically if any of them has said this, but I'm sure it's been said, that they're saying, well, hey, Caitlin Clark has not done anything wrong necessarily, but she has a lot of fans, and a lot of her fans are white people, and a lot of those white fans, some of them may be racist. So what Caitlin Clark is responsible for doing is telling her fans, don't do or say anything racist towards this player. I say that's bullshit. She's not responsible for that. She's not responsible for that. If one of her fans was to say something crazy to a black player, that has no reflection whatsoever on Caitlin Clark. All right, just because you're a fan of me does not mean I am responsible for your behavior. Even if your behavior is allegedly in defense of me, I am not responsible for what you do. I am a grown adult. You're a grown adult. If you choose to do something dumb, that ain't my fault. It's like if I go to a DMX concert back in the day, and then when I get out of the concert, I go beat somebody up because I'm hyped off of DMX's music. Is DMX responsible for apologizing to the person who I committed the crime against? No. All right, I chose to do that. I didn't have to go do it just because I heard a DMX song or a 50 Cent song or a whoever gangster rapper who's out there these days. It's a ridiculous concept, but it sounds good when you're pointing the finger at somebody else. But if you put it into any other context, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And this is what the WNBA is allowing. And Caitlin Clark, I mean, these are all women that we're talking about here. So I'm trying to treat them with some level of understanding, knowing that they're females. And if I was talking about men, this would be a little bit different discussion. But because I'm talking about females, I understand this, that females are much more driven by their emotion than they are by their logic. This is one of the reasons why this conversation is even happening, because all these women in here are all emotional and they're all making it about how they feel rather than about what's actually real, which is the game happens on the court. When the game's over, you go play the next game. That's it. But a lot of black fans are accusing the league of racism based around this female Angel Reese. There's a couple issues with Miss Reese that are not being talked about, and there are several that are being talked about. So one of them is that is being talked about is this whole black versus white thing, her versus Clark, because of the taunting in the championship game in college a few years ago, which I talked about yesterday. If you didn't hear that, you can watch the replay on my YouTube channel, the links in my profiles, or just look me up on YouTube. You can find it. And then there's the fans, a whole bunch of black fans. I think, this is just my theory, a whole bunch of black WNBA fans have decided to co-sign and talk up anything that Angel Reese does in the WNBA as if it's amazing, even though her main skill is grabbing rebounds. That's our best skill, grabbing rebounds. Now, I know people are probably throwing a joke, well, she's grabbing rebounds off her own missed shots. And she does miss a whole bunch of layups because this girl is not a very skilled basketball player. She's very tall, so she can grab the rebounds. She does grab rebounds very well. Even if she's not grabbing her own rebounds, she is very good at grabbing rebounds. We'll give her credit for doing that. As far as any other skills, she does not have much of anything else. The issue with this, and let me back up. The black fans are trying to make it seem as if her grabbing these rebounds is some generational talent, when we know anyone who watches basketball on any level understands that the players who get the most attention in basketball are usually the ones who score the points. You score a lot of points, you get attention. Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Steph Curry. People who score points get attention in basketball. Miss Reese may score some points because she's always around the basket trying to make layups, often missing them. Her thing was she grabbed a whole bunch of rebounds and then she would score 10 points. So in sports, they call that a double-double, when you get double figures in rebounds and double figures in points in the same game. And the WNBA leaned into this whole marketing campaign behind, wow, Angel Reese is getting all these double-doubles as if this is some amazing thing. All right, that ain't shit. All right, nobody talks about that. That was never a thing. That's double-double is a thing, and it's cool that a player gets a double-double, but they don't get all this attention just because you grab 10 rebounds and you score 10 points, especially in the non-graceful way in which she does what she does. She is basically in basketball what you call a garbage player. And when you say a garbage player, that doesn't mean she is garbage. What it means is you're doing the dirty work. A garbage man does the dirty work. So a garbage man is a player who hangs around the basket. They play physically. They grab rebounds. They may score a few points. But basically, they're doing all the dirty work, the grunt work that the star players don't have to do, so that the star player can go score 30 points and be pretty. The dirty work, garbage men, they do all the dirty work. Angel Reese is a garbage player. All right, she would be like in the NBA, there was a player named Charles Oakley. She would be similar to that. Some people say she's similar to Dennis Rodman. I wouldn't go that far. Dennis Rodman is a Hall of Famer, is one of the best defenders in the history of the game and won like 5 championships. I wouldn't compare her to Dennis Rodman quite yet. I would say more like a Charles Oakley type of player. Bruiser, throws their weight around, grabs a bunch of rebounds, and basically does the dirty work. That's the kind of player she is. The thing that is not being talked about is that those kind of players normally don't get too much attention. They're known. The fans appreciate them because you're doing the job so that the star player doesn't have to do the job, but you're not a superstar. You're not a celebrity. You're just a regular player. And here's the thing that nobody's saying. There are a whole bunch of black players in the WNBA who are actually skilled. And they have actual talent with the ball in their hands, which Miss Reese does not have. Yet, she is getting more attention than all of them damn near put together. Now, none of the black players are saying anything about this, but is this a real thing? Yes, it's a real thing. Are any of them thinking about it? I believe so, but ain't nobody saying nothing. So this black girl comes in the league. Her main skill is grabbing rebounds. The main thing she gets ridiculed for is missing layups, and she's being looked at like she's some kind of superstar. And she's rolling with this. I ain't mad at her. She's rolling with this. She got a podcast. She's doing brand deals. She's got sponsorships. She was at, I think I saw her at the what's that event they have in New York every year where everybody puts on these crazy outfits, the Met Gala. She was at the Met Gala. And I'm like, wait a minute. She ain't even that good at her main job, which is playing basketball. She grabs rebounds. Could you imagine Charles Oakley at the Met Gala? What is she doing? Could you imagine Charles Oakley with a commercial? Based on what? A podcast? Based on what? All right. What is this all based on? This is all based on they have turned this young lady into a celebrity, and she's taken the baton. They offered it to her. She took it. I ain't knocking her hustle. All right. Business is business. They turned her into a star. And what makes it interesting, and I said this on X the other day, my name on X is @DreAllDay. In rapping or podcasting or streaming or YouTubing or TikToking and any of this stuff, social media, you don't need to have any real substance to become a star. You just got to be entertaining in some way. You got to have some type of hook that draws in an audience. And if you just keep doing that and your audience likes you, you can get brand deals, you can get sponsorships, you can have a whole bunch of fans, and you can be somebody. Right? You want to see examples of this? Look up your favorite, OnlyFans girls or ass models on social media. Look up people who do silly dances on TikTok. Look at a rapper like Cardi B, who is not a very talented musician, but she is raunchy. She is outspoken. She's funny to a bunch of people, and a bunch of people look up to her because she's just entertaining. She's a diversion from your real life, and you can just pay attention to Cardi B, and she leans all the way into it, and she has become a star based on this. Cardi B has one album? I think she only got one album, right? Does Cardi B have a second album or just one? I listened to her first album, and I'll say this. Interestingly enough, does Cardi B have a second album? Does anybody confirm? Does Cardi B have one album, or did she put out another one? I remember her first album came out. This is like 2018. That album came out, and I thought this is going to be a complete joke. And I listened to it, and it was actually, to give credit to Cardi B, if she happens to see this, it was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought her album was going to be terrible. I said, this bitch cannot rap. What the hell is she doing putting the album out anyway? But she put the album out, and the album actually was not bad. However, in the following year, 2019, they had the Grammy Awards. And, the Grammy Awards, they give out the best album of the year in a certain category. So that year, Travis Scott put out an album called Astroworld, which was great. Nipsey Hussle, who had passed away that same spring, he put out an album called Victory Lap, which was great. Pusha T put out an album called Daytona, which was amazing. And Mac Miller put out an album too. I don't remember the name of his album. But those four rappers that I just mentioned, Mac Miller, Nipsey Hussle, Pusha T, and Travis Scott, I believe those are the best albums each of them had put out to that point in their careers. And the fifth nominee was Cardi B for Rap Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards. And Cardi B won a fucking Grammy Award for the Album of the Year. I'm telling you all that to tell you this. And first of all, I listened to all those albums. That album was not the album of the fucking year. Are you joking? But this is the issue in the entertainment space. In the entertainment world, you don't have to have substance to end up with trophies and fame and celebrity and status and making money, et cetera, et cetera. That's why Cardi B is Cardi B. Cardi B has no talent, but she is who she is. And I'm just using Cardi B as an example. This is not a diss to Cardi B, but if she sees it, so what? And anybody else in the space, Instagrammers, TikTokers, YouTubers, podcasters, streamers, you don't have to have substance. You just got to be entertaining to the right audience, and it works, especially in the Black community, where there's a lot of people in the Black community who have repeatedly said that, hey, well, these people who are putting out this degenerate material, and you can look at a lot of gangster rappers to get some examples, they are being paid by people who are not Black to put out the stuff that they're putting out, but then they're selling it to Black people. So this is actually leading to the degradation of our communities, because the people who are selling us the stuff are not Black, but they're paying people who are Black to go tell us the nonsense. And you can draw your own conclusions as to who those non-Black people are. I will say that while I do agree that there are people who are not Black that are financing the Cardi B's of the world to say nonsense to Black people. At the same time, you ain't got to take the money just because they're offering it to you. And furthermore, I'm bringing all this up to juxtapose the sports world to the entertainment world. And sports is part of entertainment, but I'm drawing a line here. In the entertainment world, you do not need to have substance to become famous and to make a whole bunch of money. Again, Cardi B. Angel Reese is being treated as if she's Cardi B, even though she's not a rapper. She is a basketball player. And in sports, you have to have actual substance, i.e. you got to get on the court and actually be good, or the field or the track or the pool and actually be good. Think of all the famous athletes whose names you know, even if they don't play a mainstream sport. Michael Phelps in swimming. That's not a mainstream sport. I can't name any other swimmer. I can name him. Simone Biles. I can't name another gymnast. I can name her. What's another sport that's kind of off the beaten path? Tiger Woods. I can't name too many golfers. I can name him. Serena Williams. I can't name a bunch of tennis players. I can name her. Now, what do these four people all have in common? They were clearly the best at what they did. They had to actually get on the field or the court or the whatever they do or the mat and had to actually be good. That's how they became celebrities. Angel Reese is being treated like and has all the trappings of a celebrity through playing sports, even though she's not that good at her sport. This is crazy. This is what makes it crazy. And this is one of the problems the WNBA has right now. Even though they didn't necessarily create this problem, it's still their problem to deal with. is that they have players, black players, who are way better than Angel Reese, who don't get half the attention that she gets. And this is going to eventually cause an issue. This is my prediction. So y'all can mark this one down, bookmark this. There's eventually going to be an issue between black players in the WNBA as things continue as they are, because this girl should not be getting the attention she's getting based on her performance. I ain't knocking her hustle for having the attention. If you're famous, you're famous. If there was a formula to being famous, then I guess everybody would be famous. It means everybody who wanted to be. But this is how it's worked out for her, while she hasn't even brought anywhere close to the level of substance that usually comes with this level of celebrity. She might have just as many, if not more, endorsement deals than Caitlin Clark. And Caitlin Clark's actually good. Yeah, but anyway, sports are supposed to be about performance, not skin tone. That's the beautiful thing about sports. Sports are the great equalizer amongst us. Is the ultimate meritocracy, because in order to succeed in sports, you have to actually be good. If you're not good, you won't succeed. And that's just what it is. And again, I'm not saying Angel Reese is not good enough to be in the WNBA. She is. She can grab rebounds. She can play defense. That's enough. You can have a career in basketball, grabbing a bunch of rebounds and playing good defense. You can have a full career, but you're not going to be looked at like you're fucking Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson. She has the attention of a Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson proportionately. When it comes to the WNBA, there's only two people getting all the attention in the WNBA right now: Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. There's another player in WNBA named A'ja Wilson who's probably better than both of them, at least so far. Caitlin Clark may catch up to her this year, but A'ja Wilson is in Vegas. She's clearly better than Angel Reese, but most of you don't even know who A'ja Wilson is. She's won the MVP. She's won the championship. She is the best player. She got the best stats. She's the best player, and she don't have nearly as much marketing push or endorsement dollars, et cetera, behind her that Angel Reese has, even though she's a much better basketball player and much easier to watch than Angel Reese is to watch. And this is the interesting thing about the entertainment world, folks, is that it's not about substance. It's about just whatever gets the attention of the masses of people, which, again, if there was a magic formula for it, then everybody would be doing it and people would just be becoming famous just like that. But you see, and how many of you have gone online and seen somebody who's famous for something? You're looking at this person like, what the hell are they famous for? This person has nothing to offer of substance, but everybody's looking at them and they have brand deals and they're making money, et cetera, et cetera. This is one of the things that if you don't understand the game, it can frustrate you about the way the business works, but you should understand the game. So anytime Miss Reese gets mentioned, anything that she does or anytime that she is painted as, whether she leans into it or not, as a victim, her fan base, I see this on social media, specifically on X, it explodes with accusations that this is some type of racism happening against her. She has leaned into it after she lost that college game her senior year, that she said, I've been sexualized. I've had death threats. Let's talk about the death threats thing, because people always are throwing this around. People saying that they received death threats. All right, I'm going to say this. I've been saying this, but I'm going to say it on the record for you all. Somebody with an anonymous account sending you a DM or talking shit to you on social media does not count as a death threat. While I understand you got to take everything seriously, and just because someone has an anonymous account doesn't mean they can't be a real person. And just because an anonymous person on social media says something doesn't mean somebody might not be plotting against you in real life. I understand all of those things. I don't want to hear anybody complaining about getting death threats just because somebody was talking shit to you on social media. All right, this is part of the game. You on social media, you call for attention, then you're going to get attention. Some of that attention is going to be negative. This is the way it works. You get enough attention for anything, some of that attention is going to be negative. That's a guarantee. All right, if I do a live stream on here and there's 100 people concurrently watching, guarantee is going to be some people saying negative stuff in the comments. That's just how it works. Now multiply that by 10 if there's 1,000 people. What if there were 1 million people? There's going to be thousands of negative comments. This is just the game that you're in. This is just the way life works. When you get attention, you're getting attention. And if you called for the attention and then you got it, you can't bitch about the attention once you get it. See, if you call for attention, the saying is, the metaphor is, when you call for attention, you can't hang up the phone. All right, she called for attention. Now you got the attention. Is not, you didn't say the attention that you want. You said attention. Now you got it. Some of it's going to be negative. Deal with it and stop bitching. But again, if these were men, I would say that more harshly. Because they're women, I'm giving them some grace. So the league, WNBA, they finally have this crossover star who's bringing in, as I told you, the casual fans, bringing in young females and men who are actually watching the game. Right? Now, I'm not one of the men watching the game, but I know of men who do watch WNBA games because they actually find the material enjoyable. They find the gameplay actually enjoyable, which is a great thing for the WNBA. Because again, more eyeballs equals more money. This is the way business works, especially at this level. But instead of building on that momentum, The WNBA keeps pandering to the woke audience of people who are more interested in what they want to call some type of oppression or the search for racism than they are in real basketball. What the WNBA should be leaning into right now is basketball, basketball, basketball. Look at these players. Look at these games. Look at these new players who have come in, these new breeds. Look at these other players over here who y'all don't know. There's a bunch of players out here who are really good that all of you need to be paying attention to. That's what the WNBA should be leaning into. Instead, they are being swayed and persuaded by these people coming to them with this nonsense about racism and the players complaining that they're not making enough money, and people keep repeating this nonsense that the players, quote unquote, have to work all year round to make enough money when the players who are working only part-time, i.e. 4 months a year in the WNBA season, are making more money than the average American makes in an entire year. But nobody wants to talk about that, and the WNBA doesn't want to say it, and they're capitulating to this nonsense, so they're hurting their own business while their business is already hurt. Our WNBA's business is already hurt, and the WNBA is not helping the situation. This is the problem. What Caitlin Clark has done so far, from what I've seen, she's handled herself with class, composure, and poise, and not said anything about any of this racial nonsense. She has just stayed above the fray and just fucking played basketball, which is what a lot of players in WNBA need to do. But a lot of them, again, this is a women's basketball league. Sometimes a woman just doesn't know when to shut the fuck up. That's just a general rule. No disrespect to the women who are listening to this, but this is generally how it works. You compare men to women. A man knows when to be quiet. Sometimes a woman just doesn't know when to be quiet. And you put a whole league full of women in one space and put cameras in front of them and keep giving them attention. And you got a bunch of men who are pandering to them. The women's just going to keep speaking. And this is exactly what's happening. Meanwhile, Angel Reese sometimes portrays herself as a victim. She has decided to lean into being the villain, but then when she gets the backlash from being a villain, the tears come out and the victimhood comes out. So she's playing both sides of the fence. Again, if she was a man, I would have a lot harsher things to say towards her. But since she's a woman, I got to give her grace because this is how women are. She just happens to be the one who we're talking about here today. But there's nothing different about her behavior as a female than I've seen from many other females who don't play basketball and are not famous. Caitlin Clark, fundamentally sound, high IQ basketball player who elevates her team and executes well under pressure. She's a very good basketball player, Caitlin Clark. She's actually good. If you watch her play, you would say, damn, this girl's good. Her thing is she shoots these three-pointers from far away, and she tends to make a whole bunch of them. Reese, on the other hand, on the court, is less consistent, significantly less skilled as a player. And again, being a garbage player, her play is more about her emotion and execution, which is what you should expect. It's not even a criticism. It's just how she plays. It's just the type of player that she is. And what you should expect, again, if you're a basketball player, this is just the way it works. And the attention on the WNBA right now, as I've already said, this is a rare opportunity for them to grow the league in an organic way to basically use the attention that they're getting right now. And what all of you need to understand is this, is that sometimes in life and sometimes in business, you get this big influx of attention that you didn't even plan on getting. And now everybody's looking at you. And if you don't make the right moves in that moment when everyone's looking at you, who previously were not looking, those people will turn right back around and go look at something else all over you. The WNBA right now has more attention because of the situation. They got Clark in here, who's brought a whole bunch of her fans, and they have Reese, who got a whole bunch of people who I don't think are really fans of her as a player, but they're a fan of the idea of black player against white player. They've become fans just so they can support her, and that's how they feel. Fine, that's how you feel. WNBA has all this attention because of this. They can fumble this bag, and right now they're fumbling the bag. And it is very possible they could fumble this bag if they keep doing the same thing. And it's also possible, who knows what's going to happen, that let's just say this CBA, which is the agreement between the union and the employers, if this CBA ends, which is going to end, and they go to negotiation, and let's just say that they can't come to a good deal. Let's say there's an impasse. So let's say we get September is when let's say they start negotiating in September. Then we get to October, November, December, January, February, and they have not come to a conclusion yet between the union and the league. What if Caitlin Clark has a bunch of people in her ear, which I'm sure she got a few right now, saying to her, yo, you don't need to play in the WNBA. Why are you settling for the salary you're getting? Her salary is probably less than $100K right now because she's on a rookie contract. You're accepting $100K a year in salary when you could be making in the tens of millions a year. Well, she's probably already getting tens of millions in deals off the court. But you could be getting tens of millions on the court for what you do on the court. If we just started our own league, we'll take you. We'll take some of the players who you're cool with. We'll exclude all these black bitches who are making this a whole thing about race, especially the ones with nasty attitudes. Let's leave them to play in the WNBA. And you're going to take all your fans and bring them over here to this league that you're going to play in. And I wouldn't put it out the realm of possibility of that happening. I don't know. I'm not privy to any details on this. I haven't even thought about exactly how it would work. But could that happen? That absolutely could happen. Now, how that would not happen is Caitlin Clark, as a basketball player and a competitor, she probably wants to play in the best league that there is. And right now, WNBA is the best league. And she wants to accumulate stats and build her career and build a resume in that league, so her resume can stack up against other players, et cetera, et cetera. I would think that's part of her motivation to maybe stay in the WNBA and maybe not even get involved in these things. But I don't know. She doesn't talk as much. She talks a lot less than Angel Reese, interestingly enough, even though she's like 10 times better than her. Reese talks 10 times more. That should be a signal to all of you. That should be a hint to all of you. The people who are the best usually talk less than the people who are not as good. They're always talking to compensate for what they're not doing in performance. And the NBA has an opportunity to grow the league. They could do it, but we'll see. We'll see. And this CBA that comes up at the end of the year, that stands for Collective Bargaining Agreement, by the way. That's the union and ownership's contract. These are the union of players and the ownership. We got to have an agreement. It's ending this summer after the season ends. And if they can't figure this out because the players are demanding too much or asking for shit that makes no financial sense, which I'm not sure is going to happen. I think the league's going to give them whatever they ask for, generally speaking. Caitlin Clark could say, how about I just take my show somewhere else because I'm the show here. And I think she knows that. I don't know if she's going to say it out loud. She shouldn't say it out loud. If she knows it and we all know it, then that could possibly happen. But instead of leaning into the excellence in storytelling, which the WNBA is failing to do right now, WNBA should be making stars out of more players. What they should be doing is saying, hey, you heard of Angel Reese, you heard of Caitlin Clark, but what about her over here? What about her over there? What about this player right here? What about this player right here? She just had 30 points in the game. None of y'all even know her name. WNBA should be doing marketing to make more of their players known entities because the way sports fans watch sports, we connect either to a team or we connect to a player. A lot of times these days, fans are fans of players, especially in basketball. They just like players. So if LeBron's on the Lakers, you like the Lakers. If he leaves and goes to Miami, you like Miami. He goes to Cleveland, you like Cleveland. So you like the players and or you'll like a team. So in football, for example, people connect to the team. So you like the Kansas City Chiefs, you like the Baltimore Ravens, you like the Eagles, you like the Dolphins, you like the Chargers, whatever the team is. The problem the WNBA has right now is that most casual fans can only name two people. I'm a generally casual fan. I can name more than two players. I can name maybe 10. But the thing is, only two are getting most of the attention. The WNBA, what they need to do is start tethering fans to players. Hey, look at this player. Look at this player. And just keep talking about that player for a while so that some of the fans say, okay, I came here because of Caitlin Clark, but this player is pretty good. Let me start watching her games. Now you got more than one connection inside the organization. So if Caitlin Clark doesn't have a game, doesn't mean you won't turn on WNBA because the other player who you like, now she has a game. Or maybe you like 5 players. Okay, so 3 of your favorite players don't have a game tonight, but 2 of your players do have a game. So you're going to be watching games every night because one of your 5 favorite players is playing. But if you only got one player you like, now what do? What if the one player you like decides to leave the WNBA and go play somewhere else? Now what? Now you ain't watching WNBA anymore. WNBA is failing right now because their marketing is off. This is the reason why they were failing business before Caitlin Clark arrived. Because their marketing is not right. They're not doing the right things to make people want to pay attention to the game. What they're doing incorrectly, and this is not the league itself, but the players and the advocates of the WNBA keep going off this. Well, the reason why they're not getting the attention is because people are not watching the games enough. People are not spending enough money. People are not coming to the games. People are not, quote unquote, supporting. All right, this is a bullshit argument. I hear a lot of people do this in business, especially black people and especially women. No one owes you support. No one owes you coming to your game. No one owes you being your customer. You have to offer something compelling enough that makes people want to do that. And if they're not doing it, that is the market telling you that is not interested in what you're offering up to this point. That is not you telling the market, hey, market, you're supposed to pay attention to me. Bullshit. The market is telling you is not interested, so you got to come with a better offer. That's the way the game works. The game is not required to adjust itself to you. You are required to adjust yourself to the game. So whenever a advocate of the WNBA says, well, the league is not making as much money because not enough people are paying attention to the game, as if the people are wrong for not paying attention to your bullshit. No, you're wrong because you're not doing anything to get the people to want to pay attention. It's the equation goes in opposite direction. But again, I'm giving grace to everything that I'm saying here because we're talking about females. And again, no diss to the females who are listening to this, but all the women in here, if you can be logical enough for a second, you understand this. And all the men in here, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That sometimes you try to talk too much logic to a woman, she simply doesn't want to hear it. And the WNBA is a whole bunch of women are all in the same room co-signing each other. So imagine if I was to say everything I'm saying here in front of the whole WNBA, I would get cussed out and probably shouted down off the stage. Real fans, okay? Instead of, as I just said, they're leading into this nonsense and letting social media activists hack the conversation, which shouldn't be happening. Real fans, whether men or women, they just want to watch good basketball. If you have a good product, we don't want to hear about your systemic racism shit. We don't want to hear you talking about social justice or any of that bullshit. Just show us good basketball. If you have good players and there's great product on the court, show us the product on the court. Stop talking about this other bullshit. Stop leaning into it. Stop making press releases about it and just show us the good players that you have if you have them. I believe the WNBA has good basketball players, good female basketball players. I don't watch, but there's an audience of people who does want to watch. And the WNBA is not letting us know about those players. They're letting us know about the bullshit. And this is a problem. So turning every highlight into some form of talking about microaggressions, this is the reason why sports conversations are becoming unbearable and disconnected from what's really going on. I saw a lot of people saying this over the last couple of days on social after the thing I talked about yesterday with Ryan Clark and RG3, two former football players arguing about they weren't really, the conversation was ostensibly about basketball, but it really wasn't. It became a personal issue between two men, supposedly about the WNBA. And that's endemic of this whole situation, that every conversation about the WNBA turns into a race debate rather than a conversation about fucking basketball. Most NBA conversations are about basketball. It's about the players. All right, this player made this shot and this player is better than this player, or who's better between Jordan and LeBron. Even if you find the conversations annoying and that people are kind of baiting conversations and basically trolling for engagement, one thing we can agree when it comes to the NBA is that the conversation is fucking about basketball. It's always about basketball. Who's better than who? Whose stats are better than whose stats? Who's going to win the championship? The conversation is about the game. That's the reason why the NBA is as popular as it is. It's the reason why they make as much money as they make, because the game is sustaining itself. When it comes to the WNBA, the game is not sustaining itself. This is the reason why they're not making any fucking money. And when it comes to the marketing, they're not doing it right. They keep giving us press releases about race. We don't care about this racism shit. Just show us the fucking game. You got good players, show us the good players. Stop centering Angel Reese. She's not that very good of a player. She is not going to draw in fans. You got to center us more players with skill. Who are they? Why don't we know their names? WNBA. Y'all got the NBA's marketing budget. Why don't we know these players? And it's an open question that nobody can answer because they're not doing it. So the presence of men in these sports conversations, even though we're talking about the WNBA, the reason why traditionally sports conversations and sports talk was all men and the women would be in the kitchen, proverbially, or even literally, is because that conversation makes it about competition. It keeps things rooted in logic and facts and performance. That's the way men talk. We talk logically, we talk about what is factually true, and we talk about performance. Even though some people can use logical fallacies and people can misuse facts in order to present different arguments, at the end of the conversation, we are still talking about the game. All right, even when I see people arguing about Jordan and LeBron, every day is people arguing about Jordan and LeBron on the internet. And the thing is, even though people make up nonsense and pull facts out of context to argue Jordan's better or LeBron's better and little clips from back in the days and to make fun and all of that, the conversation is still about the game. The conversation is not about how LeBron feels. It's not about some racism against Jordan. It's about what's actually happening on the court. The WNBA, please, please, please focus on what's happening on the court. You might get somebody like me to actually watch the fucking game if you focus on what's happening on the court. I don't want to hear any of this other shit about who hates who and racism this, and we got to protect the players that, and the players need to stop leaning into this bullshit. And again, I give grace. We're talking to females. I'm trying to be logical here, and I'm talking about an organization full of women. All right, so I understand I'm already going against the grain just by even having this approach. They need to understand that the attention that they have right now is not guaranteed to stick around just because they are who they are. And again, when you have a bunch of people with an entitlement mindset, and a bunch of these women have an entitled mindset of this, well, we got to work year round to supplement our income. That's bullshit. You make more money than the average American working 4 months a year, playing a game for a living where your long day of work is 3 hours. All right, shut the fuck up with that bullshit. I've been a professional basketball player, so I know what the work schedule looks like. I know what the work day looks like. you're not needing to do anything to supplement your income. You make more money than the average person by yourself working 4 months a year, all right, playing a game. All right, miss me with that need to make money bullshit. But anyway, when you're dealing with entitled people, they can't see past their noses. They can't see their own entitlement. And until they get slapped in the face with it, they're going to keep believing it. And this is the problem that the WNBA has right now. So feminine energy is dominating the narrative, which it should. It's a female league, even the lesbians. All right, it's feminine energy. It makes every debate about feelings and identity instead of about results. This is what you get when you have a female-dominated conversation. That's the reason why we don't need to have a female president. We need masculine energy at the top. Our country will not say the number one country if just because we do whatever we feel like doing, or let's put a woman in charge just because. Our old societal norms don't have to stay the same. Society has changed. There was somebody who said that bullshit yesterday in my comments. It looked like it was a man. And this is one of the problems. Is men in their feminine energy are the problem. It's not women in their feminine. I don't mind a woman being in her feminine. She should be. It's the men in their feminine who are the problem. Anyway, WNBA has always struggled with viewership because it didn't have stars who would draw eyeballs. They finally have some. It seems like they have a few others whose names I don't know because WNBA hasn't told me about them. And what the WNBA needs to do is get people like me to understand and notice these other players. I'm not looking for them. I'm not watching WNBA games trying to find the stars. I want you to tell me, WNBA, who you are, what you got, and why I should give a damn. All right, that's called marketing. Who are you? What do you have? Why should I care? That is what marketing is. When I hear from the WNBA, I'm not hearing anything about the players. I'm hearing them talking about the fans. They're talking about racism. They're talking about social issues. I don't want to hear this shit. I want to hear about your product and why your product should draw my attention. All right, my resource is my attention. If you want my attention, tell me why I should give it to you. You telling me that some fans were racist allegedly in an arena in a game that already happened just because the black player can't take a L by 35 points like they did. I don't want to hear that shit. That's not going to get me to pay attention. Now, this is where they're dropping the ball. But if the league keeps letting, again, social media nonsense, they let this steer the conversation. They're going to sabotage the one chance that they have right now. And in sports, this is all about the scoreboard. All of you already know that. I tell you all that all the time. It's the reason why my frame is always coming back to my background as an athlete, because in sports, if you can't play, there's no story you can tell to make up for your lack of performance. All right, you cannot explain away a lack of performance with a story. Now, that works in the corporate world, that works in the academic world, it works in the bureaucratic space. It does not work in sports. If you can't play, I don't want to hear your fucking story because you can't play. We saw the scoreboard. I want to hear your story. Notice that there was no story coming from Angel Reese after the game about losing by 35 points. The whole story was about, well, they're going to support us by making sure there's no racism in the game. There's nobody saying anything about losing by 35 points. They ain't talking about that. So the defenders of this race conversation, I guess we'll say, they're having in WNBA, they're losing not because of racism, because they can't accept the world where performance matters more than complexion. And again, what do you expect? What do you expect when the team's losing by 35 points? What are they going to say? They pretty much don't have any options other than to say what they're saying, which is, well, it got to be something other than the performance, because if we just talked about the performance, well, it ain't nothing to talk about. What you going to talk about? You just lost by 35 points. All that said, everybody, I need to take a quick restroom break. Then we're going to get to the Q&A session. So any of you have questions or comments, I will address them in a moment. Give me 90 seconds to go to the restroom. In between then and now, let me see what I got here. In between then and now, and I got this guy texting me I want him to come and do some work in my house. By the way, I give y'all a business lesson. You want people to, if you are running a business where you do a service, you must be sharp in your communication. This dude's taking forever. I texted this dude like 2 days ago, and then he didn't text me back all day. He knew I was going to text him. Then he finally hit me. I called him after he didn't respond to my text. I'm trying to do business with the guy. I'm trying to pay this guy to do some work for me. So I'm a customer. And he knows that I'm a customer because he got my number, or I got his number from a customer. And anyway, I'm telling him I want him to come do some work. He doesn't respond all day. I finally call him. He doesn't answer the phone. I leave him a voicemail. He finally texts me at night. And he says, hey, I'm full this week, maybe next week, someday next week. I say, all right, well, let's give me a day so we can nail this down so that I know what time you're coming. I'll put this on my schedule. He didn't text me all day yesterday, and I already had it in my notes. I'm going to find somebody else. And he just texted me back like 10 minutes ago. This is not the way you communicate when you're doing business. And if he ends up doing business with me, I'm going to let him know this, that he got to step his communication up. This is probably costing him money across the board. Because if he didn't come highly recommended from somebody who I trust, I would not hire this guy based on the way he communicates. And he probably doesn't even understand that because his work is very good. I've seen his work. His work is extremely good, but his communication sucks. And any of you who runs a service-based business, make sure that this is not happening to you. Make sure that your poor communication is not hurting your chance to do your performance. They both got to be on point. But anyway, I digress. Let me make a quick run to the restaurant. I'm going to let you listen to some more of my Work on Your Game masterclass. Comes out every single day. You can find us on Apple and Spotify. Comes out every day. It's for free. It is about 20, 30 minutes per episode. I'm going to let you listen to this a little bit while I run to the restaurant.
This stuff that's going on.
Great exceptional.
Work on your game.
I like the approach.
Work on your fucking game.
Everybody relates to what Dre's saying in a different way.
Work on your game.
I like the way he thinks.
Work on your fucking game.
I like the frameworks that he's put together.
Work on your game.
And I would highly recommend it to anybody that's trying to work on their game.
Work on your fucking game.
I think it's a good approach. It's a different approach, too.
Hey, you, work on your game.
Give me something really good.
Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. And his philosophy makes a lot of sense.
Not only work on your game, perfect your craft.
Work on your game.
He knows how to communicate in such a fabulous way.
I can't say it enough.
Work on your game. You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that, Dre? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are on part 3 of our ongoing, including mini-series, You Must Know People in all of these spaces. I already gave you the background on this. You listened to the last 2 episodes. I don't need any background here. Let's get straight to it. Picking up on point number 7. You must know people in all of these. All right, so basically I heard the introduction. So let's pick it up on the comments. I don't see anything on Rumble, YouTube. Every day when I'm doing Rumble, YouTube, the page like automatically refreshes and I lose the comments if there were any. But there weren't any comments when that happened, so I don't think I miss anything. I am Sasha Sims said the WNBA needs to hire you. Sasha, the WNBA would never hire me after what I just said about them. All right, they wouldn't take this as constructive criticism. Remember, Sasha, we're talking about women here. I know you're a female, but we're talking about women here. After everything that I just said, there's no way they would ever hire me. They would be highly offended by WNBA. Will probably block me on Twitter if they heard everything that I was saying right now about the WNBA. They wouldn't take this as helpful. They would take this as an attack. So the chances of WNBA hiring me are slim to 0, and the chances of me accepting are also 0. They get hire me as a contractor, but I wouldn't work there full time. That wouldn't happen. I had a guy get in and out. I couldn't hang around this kind of energy all day. Now it's a full-time job. So let's see what we got in the comments. Rodney, good morning. Let's see. Knight said the fall of Diddy. We'll talk about Diddy again. Diddy draws more attention than the WNBA. So I'm probably talking about you got a higher chance of me talking about Diddy than me talking about the WNBA. Mr. Ohio J said, I think WNBA going to hurt itself is already not strong enough to maintain itself already. WNBA is already hurt. Mr. Ohio J. What else they got to do? They already hurt. David said, most don't consider the salary is seasonal and not the full year. The players make good money. Yes. I mean, even if it was the full year, David, $76,000 a year is more than the average American earns. And depending on where you look, there's always different numbers. But let's see what ChatGPT can find. What is the average salary of an American working full-time 40 hours a week in the United States? I said American and the United States twice. So let's find out what the number is. Maybe it's going up. It depends on how you break down the data. You can break it down in a lot of ways. You break it down for women. You can break it down for men. You can break it by years in the workforce. You can break it by race. But according to what ChatGPT says, Full-time worker in the United States earns around $59,000 a year, assuming 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. So assuming you're working all year round with no vacation, you're earning a little under $60,000 a year, according to what they're saying here. Now, again, this figure is the median, not the average. So the median is like in the middle. So meaning half the workers earn more, half earn less. I don't like this number. Actually, I want a different number. So I want the average number, not the median number. My actual question was the average. So why are you telling me the median? See, sometimes you got to correct ChatGPT. It gave me information. I literally just asked it, give me the average salary, and it gives me the median salary. So do not listen to everything AI tells you. Make sure it's answering the right question. I asked it for the average salary, and it gave me the median salary. Y'all just heard me do it. So anyway, here's what it said. Apologies for any confusion in my previous responses. It wasn't any fucking confusion. You gave me the wrong information. Nobody's confused. Anyway, they say, according to the Social Security Administration, the average wage index in 2023 is 66,000. So the number actually goes up, according to what they're saying here. They say this represents the average annual wages across all workers, including those working full-time, assuming 40 hours a week, 52 weeks. That's about $1,200 per week. But this encompasses all wage earners and can be skewed by high-income individuals. The median, however, brings it down to about 62,000. So depending on who you ask, you can get anywhere from 45,000 to 66,000. Either way, WNBA player minimum salary, or at least the rookie salary for Caitlin Clark, was $76,000. That's only for 4 months. Multiply that by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. There's 12 months in a year. That's $220. That's over $220,000 a year. David said Clark sells the arena because of her skill. Reese can't do that because she has no skill. Well, she has some skills. She's tall. Being tall is a skill in basketball. But I get what you're saying. Good morning, traditional. Sherry said their greed will be the end of the league. Now, I don't know, Sherry. Now, if Caitlin Clark leaves, then that league might fall apart. But their greed is not going to end the league because the WNBA is going to keep financing them no matter what they do. Reese said, why aren't you a fan of the WNBA? Because male basketball players are, I prefer to watch males play basketball and watch females play basketball. The males are better. Kelly said 10K. Yes, we had 10K. Appreciate it. Let's get to 40,000 likes, folks. We're at 34,000. Can we get to 40,000 likes, please, everybody? Dolly MAK got the number 2 badge. Good morning. Kelly said, I love women's college basketball. The WNBA hasn't drawn me in yet. Yeah, they have fans. I mean, WNBA does have fans, and women's basketball does have fans. There should be women's basketball. But the way the WNBA is making these demands that they're going to make when they have this negotiation this summer or at the end of the summer, I think it's going to make them, it's going to look ridiculous, but there are going to be a bunch of people defending it. So it'll be ridiculous to some people and acceptable to others. Lawrence McKinnis, good morning. Someone whose name is Your Mom says it's smart of the media and WNBA to focus on this stuff because more people are talking about it. On one level, you're correct that focusing on these things does lead more people to discussing it. The problem is, Your Mom, is that people are discussing things that don't really matter and have nothing to do with the game. So why that's a problem is because eventually I'm going to say what I need to say about this thing, and I'm not going to pay any more attention to the WNBA because the product is not keeping me paying attention. Your product has to get my attention. When your product has my attention, then the other things are actually just bolstering the attention index, so to speak. So let's just say the NBA had an issue that had nothing to do with basketball, and I was talking about it. That is good because I'm always going to come back to the basketball. The WNBA doesn't even have me paying attention to their actual product. They got me paying attention to something that is tangential to the product. And as soon as this blows over, I'm going to go back to not paying attention. That's the problem. So there is like you get this burst of attention, but then it goes away all over again. You can't have a sustainable business doing that. Sherry said distraction doesn't change the points and outcome of the game. Yeah, well, the problem is nobody's paying attention to the game. That's the problem. China said, interesting, although I'm not drawn to the WNBA. Yeah, because the things that they're saying when they do get mainstream attention have nothing to do with the game. That's the mistake. That is the general mistake that they're making. All right, so I see we're at 35,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 40,000, please? Jay Will said, an overwhelming amount of Reese fans say racist thing in the league is radio silent. Well, yeah, it's because according to a lot of people, black people can't be racist. I don't subscribe to that, but a lot of people do. So when black people say things that would be considered racist, it's not news. But if a white person says something, everybody has to drop everything. So Bravo Girl said, I saw someone call her rebounds me bounds. I never heard that one, but that's funny. Me bounds. Fitzgerald said the Dennis Rodman of the NBA, of the WNBA. No, she ain't Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is a Hall of Fame player with 5 championships. She's not that. User says CC is a hooper. Yes, she is. Med said if you can't really jump, as most of the WNBA cannot, tall girls get the rebound simply. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And getting a rebound is a thing. All right, you need to get rebounds in basketball. Okay, so I'm not saying that rebounds don't matter. Rebounding is a good thing to do in basketball. However, people whose main thing is grabbing rebounds don't become celebrities or stars. Miss Reese is a celebrity because she taunted Caitlin Clark at the end of the championship game in college 2 or 3 years ago. That's the reason why she's a celebrity, not because of grabbing rebounds. And everybody knows that. Kirby said these are second-year players that have been pitted against one another. Give them a few more years. Well, a few more years for what? Now we know what each one of them is. We know Caitlin Clark is a star, and she's probably going to be the best player in the league, unequivocally the best player in the league within a couple of years if she stays in the WNBA. And we know who Reese is. She's a garbage player, and again, garbage just means she does the dirty work, and that's pretty much who she is. She's what, 22, 23 years old? She ain't all of a sudden going to become no LeBron. She's not. Now, the skills you have are the skills you have. On top of the fact that it seems like she's doing a whole lot of things that ain't got nothing to do with basketball. I remember last season when she was missing all those layups, I saw people on social media trying to defend her saying, well, she just came into the league. She needs time to develop and she can get better year over year. And I said, motherfucker, you know nothing about basketball. By the time somebody's in their early 20s, they are who they are. Most players don't get that much better. They enhance what you already see in them, but are they actually going to get a whole lot better? Not really. Not really. The skills that they have are the skills that they have. You can get better at what we see you doing, but you don't all of a sudden just show up with a whole new set of skills after your 20s. On top of the fact that she seems to be doing a whole lot of things that ain't got nothing to do with playing basketball. She's podcasting. She was at the Met Gala. She's doing brand deals. She's not in the gym just working on her game tirelessly with no cameras on. She ain't doing that. So where are these new skills going to come from? The osmosis? She's just going to wake up one day and the fairy godmother is going to bless her with skills with a magic wand? I don't think so. I think this is who she's going to be. And look at her. She's a celebrity already. Why does she need to get better? If I'm a celebrity just doing this, why do I need to improve and get better at anything else? Would you? Most people would not. You Reflect says she only gets attention from racists. No, she gets attention from a lot of people. She's getting attention from me right now. I'm not racist. Candy said she's so jealous of Caitlin Clark is so obvious. Maybe. I mean, I try not to do too much mind reading, but I get what you're saying. Last name Charles said, you saying that Angel Reese is not as good as Candace Sparks. Who's Candace Sparks? And then you said JK LOL. I think you mean Caitlin Clark, or unless you're talking about somebody else. Hollywood on YouTube said, I wish all black people realize that all that racism stuff is fake. No, it's not fake. It's real. It becomes a very real conversation. You heard of DEI? That ain't fake. Dolly MAK got the badge. Congrats. We Reflect said black women create most of the culture here. Here meaning where? Where's here? Oh, Candace Parker. Oh, do I think Angel Reese is as good as Candace Parker? No. But Angel Reese got a bigger audience than Candace Parker already, and Candace Parker was a very good player. One of the best players in the history of the game. Kelly said these rivalries will help the league grow its fan base, and WNBA needs fans. I don't think so, Kelly. That's what I'm saying. It will not help it grow its fan base because people are getting tired of this shit. This is the reason why I did the live on Black Fatigue last week. People are getting tired of black people trying to make everything about race. It's getting old. And these WNBA players, a majority of them black and female, are trying to make everything about race instead of about what they're supposedly the best in the world at, which is playing fucking basketball. That's the problem. So no, this is not going to grow the fan base. What grows the fan base is you having a really good product. The product is basketball. Notice none of this conversation is really about basketball. Tristan said broke celebrities will take the money. Generally, yeah. Well, most people will take the money. You ain't got to be broke. You Reflect says saying she's not that good is dishonest. No, it's not. Saying she's not that good is an opinion, first of all. So for it to be dishonest, meaning I think she's good and I'm telling you that she's not, which will require you to read my mind. I know basketball very well. I have played basketball at a high level. She is not a very skilled basketball player, is what I said. Kelly said Angel leverages social media and connects with her fans. Celebrities are good at those things. Well, yeah, the reason she has fans because she taunted the white girl at the end of the championship game 3 years ago. And anybody can be good at it when you have people who are fawning over you, and anything you say or do, all of a sudden you become good at connecting with fans. Now, connecting with fans is not necessarily some innate skill, Kelly. It actually works the other way around. When you have a whole bunch of fans, all of a sudden they say, hey, she's connecting well with fans. She's so good with the people. It is because they're all fawning over you. You pretty much can't go wrong as long as you don't do anything stupid. Frank's World said, WNBA will collapse by demanding to be like the NBA. WNBA needs to support itself. Frank, I don't think so. Logically, I get what you're saying. The problem is the NBA finances the WNBA. So why would the NBA? The NBA will never let the WNBA fail. That's the thing y'all need to understand. WNBA is never going away because the NBA will continue to finance it no matter what happens. You reflect, Steph. You want Asia Wilson to get attention, you should talk about her. No, I shouldn't. You reflect. I hope you're a female because you're sounding like one. No disrespect. Asia Wilson gets the attention that she gets based on the way that she plays. And this is similar to kind of how it works in sports. If you want to get attention, there are usually things you have to do that are either off the court, like Angel Reese, or your game needs to be transcendent enough, like Caitlin Clark, that even people who generally don't care about the thing you do care anyway. I don't care about gymnastics, but I know who Simone Biles is because she was so transcendent that I noticed. Michael Phelps, Tiger Woods. I don't care about swimming. I don't care about golf, but I know who they are because their performance transcended the hardcore fans' attention. Hollywood says the Sky seemed to win more games and Reese focusing on rebounds and defense and not scoring. I don't think she just focused on scoring. I think she just gets all those shot attempts because she grabs rebounds and she's already near the basket, so she just tries to score and then she misses. So I think they just need more players. They need more talented players. That's their problem. If they get more talented players, then the ball will actually go in the basket. So then Reese doesn't have to grab the rebound. And then she won't need to shoot either because she won't have the ball. That's what they actually need. They just need better players. So represented Hart every day. I don't know what you're laughing at, but hopefully you're laughing with me. Kelly said, what is Angel's vertical? How the hell would I know? Stoic said, I fear this will end up like Tanya Harding's situation. I don't think so. That would be a bad idea for everybody in the WNBA because if Caitlin Clark ain't playing, they ain't getting no fans. Can we get the 40,000 likes, please? Everybody. Duck Going Buck said, thoughts on passing of the big, beautiful bill. What was the bill about? That's what matters. Sierra said, dude, you're always on here bashing women. Really? I just gave a whole lot of praise to Caitlin Clark. And as I said, Angel Reese is not a very good, very skilled basketball player. She's good at grabbing rebounds. She's not a very skilled basketball player. Is that bashing her? Sierra, if you consider that bashing, you probably don't want to stick around and listen to anything else I got to say because it's only going to get worse. Filthy Mind Game said, negative attention is good for the news, not an organization, especially race. Generally, that's correct. Depends on what organization, but generally, you're right. Sierra says, stats and history shows women is in places of power brings more peace to every country who does it. Now, Sierra, that is factually inaccurate. A woman being in a position of power only happens after there is peace because if a country does not have peace, i.e., they're not sure whether or not they're going to be invaded the next day by a rival country, you don't put a woman in charge because what's she going to do? Lead the army? Now, she's going to be the first one to get her fucking head cut off. Sierra, you have no idea what you're talking about. You can put a woman in position of power in a country after it's peaceful and after it's pretty much safe. That's the reason why we have women running for president in the United States because they ain't got to go fight. Now they got to stand in front of the army. If something goes crazy, all they do is make a phone call and a whole bunch of what? Men show up to do the fighting. Same thing with the president in Mexico right now. If there's a problem in Mexico, she ain't fighting. She ain't picking up no gun. She ain't chopping anybody's heads off. She makes a phone call and a whole bunch of men show up to defend her. All right, that's how it works when you have women in position of power. They can always call on a man if things get crazy. So, no, it does not bring more peace. And by the way world works, conflict is inevitably, if it can't be settled amicably through verbal exchange, it is settled through physical exchange. What the hell is a woman going to do? That's just the general way humanity works. If we cannot settle our differences talking, we're going to settle it physically. Whether that means we're going to fight, whether it means we're going to grab swords, or it means we're going to grab firearms. What is a woman going to do in that situation if she's going up against a man? What she's going to do is lose. That's what's going to happen. So I don't know where you got that nonsense from. Maybe some liberal university safe space that you were talking to people in. But in the real world, it does not work that way. Inmates Thomas said, because Because of CC, I know more players and watch more games or follow up to see how certain players did. Well, yes, that's what the WNBA should be aiming to have happen. They should do more of it so they can get more people to do what you said there and notice these other players. I don't hear the names of any of these other players coming from the WNBA because only time their message reaches me, I'm not saying they don't say it at all, but when their message reaches my eyeballs, it's them talking about something that has nothing to do with basketball. And I'm a casual fan. I'm a casual when it comes to the WNBA. And if they're going to get to where they need to get, they need people like me to care about the product, not the story, but the product, or not the non-basketball story. If it's a basketball story, they need me to care. Traditional said, I agree. Play basketball without submitting yourself as a victim. Generally. Traditional said the media feeds us. Well, the thing is, the media is us. We are the media nowadays. So the media is not just the people on TV. Media is all of us because we all have phones and we all have internet and we all can post shit. So the media is not just NBC and ABC these days. It's all of us. We're at 40,000 likes, folks. Can we get 250, please? Chloe said, where else are you streaming? I'm also on Instagram. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. All at the same time right now. And what's funny about that is that I get way more people watching on TikTok than I have on all the other apps almost put together, even though I'm saying the exact same thing at the same time to all of you. But TikTok, I usually have way more people. So I don't know why. Jiminy said, to be followed by public, an athlete must be really good or likable. Reese is neither. Well, she's followed in public, though, Jimmy. She's followed because a whole bunch of black people have come in to offer a counterbalance to all the white people who are supporters of Clark. That's pretty much where she got her fan base. And she knows it. I don't know if she's that self-aware. I don't know enough about her on a personal level. But that's pretty much where her fan base comes from. There's a bunch of black people who want to counterbalance the white fans of Caitlin Clark because the WNBA has a lot of black players. And again, why is she the most famous black player in the WNBA? She's not the best. She's just the most famous. She's not even close to the best. She's just the most famous. And I think there are some black players. I think this will eventually come to a head. That some black players are going to start making some noise about why is this bitch getting all this attention? She ain't even good compared to them. Again, she's good at grabbing rebounds. Chloe said, any thoughts on the Fresh and Fit podcast? Would you ever go on it? Those guys are... I know where they record at. It's not far from me. I could literally walk to where they record at. Any thoughts on them? What about them? And the kind of stuff that they talk about, I'm not quite sure I fit their needs. Let's say, but I know some people. I know some people who have been on their show, and I'm not quite sure that I fit their needs. But I have been listening to Myron Gaines. He's one of the people on that show. He's been talking about, because he used to work for he used to be a federal agent. So he's been talking about the Diddy trial. He's done a pretty good job of breaking it down. So I have listened to a couple of his videos, but it's just him talking. It's not the other guys. It's him. So that's my thoughts on Fresh and Fit. I don't really listen to that show. I've seen some of their content where they'll have like the two guys, or they'll have another guy, and then they'll have a whole bunch of girls who basically, hoes from Miami sitting around and having a discussion. I could have a lot of fun in a conversation like that, but I'm not sure I'm on their radar. So those are my thoughts on the Fresh and Fit podcast. Let's see. Over on IG, Bad Billy said, Dre always does his homework. Yes, I do. Homework is part of preparation. Giraffe Student Athlete says, Caitlin Clark has already ranked top 5 in career triple doubles, and she just got to the league to let you know how much more time they need to focus on the game versus antics and agendas. Well, yeah, we'll see if they do it. Gilbert over on Instagram, good morning. O-Dog says, Angel Reese is actually good for the image of the WNBA because she's fairly attractive. Nobody wants to see a bunch of, he just said, never mind, a bunch of not attractive women, lesbians. Okay, that is a fair point. I didn't bring that up, but okay, I'll go along with that one. That one is a fair point to be added to the record, that Angel Reese is a fairly attractive female who has, I think she posed was she in Sports Illustrated? I don't know if she was in a Sports Illustrated swimsuit, but I've seen a photo of her in a bathing suit that she was posing for. It's not like she was at the beach and somebody snuck a picture. She was posing for it, which is why it was crazy when she was saying she's been sexualized. Like, yo, you took the picture and you put it out. What do you mean you've been sexualized? But anyway, again, remember, we got to remember we're talking to and about females. So we got to give them some grace when it comes to their lack of logic at times. Fitzgerald said, you can't teach height. That's right. So a lot of tall people play basketball. Pretty P said, they don't make it about basketball, so why should we? Well, exactly. That's the problem. because eventually, if the non-basketball conversation dries up, which it eventually will, then now we're not going to pay attention, and that hurts their business. That's why they need to leverage the attention they have right now, even if the attention came from some nonsense, and get us to pay attention to the product so that when the nonsense ends, we still watch. But right now, when the nonsense goes away, we're going to stop watching because only reason I'm talking about the WNBA is because of the nonsense. It's not because I saw some amazing game and I'm like, oh my God, I got to talk about this. I didn't see an amazing game. I saw some bullshit. So that's the part they got to fix while they still have the attention, but they're going to blow it. And they're blowing it right now. So Duck Going Buck says a lot of controversy about the big, beautiful bill. You should look into it. Well, everything Donald Trump says is controversial. So Duck Going Buck, we can't go off that frame that I should look into anything that's around Donald Trump. Anything around Donald Trump is controversial. If that was the case, I would just do a 24-hour, never-ending stream about Donald Trump. If that's the frame, I need a better reason than that. Kelly said, focus on TikTok. I'm focused on all of them. I can read the comments as they come in. Duck Going Buck said, TikTok algorithm is goated. I guess I have to agree with that. Eric said, are you Andre Owens? I don't even know who that is, so no. Dolly MAK said, no straw mans today. Yeah, we have enough people. I think for me to get the straw man in a day, we usually got to get more people in here. And today, according to TikTok's stats of all the total viewers, not all at once, but total viewers been about 1,000 people on TikTok today. So usually I got to have at least about 3,000 to get a straw man of the day. But not enough people here today to get a straw man. So I won't make the mistake of talking about the WNBA anymore because this doesn't draw enough audience. That is perfect. That's poetically perfect. All right, just talking about the WNBA doesn't draw attention the same way the WNBA itself doesn't draw attention. So maybe I'll talk about the big, beautiful bill like somebody said a minute ago. We'll see. Let's see. Tomorrow's topic, I will tell you, possible tomorrow topic. We might go back talking about Trump because he is supposed to be trying to lower prices on pharmaceuticals. We might talk about this Derek Chauvin thing, which it was trending for like a day or two. I don't know if it's a real thing. We might talk about greedflation. That's something I also have been considering. We might talk about how black and brown and LGBTQ is not one big group. I like that topic. We might do that one. We might talk about Casey Means becoming Surgeon General. She wrote a book called Good Energy, which is I've heard her interviews. I haven't read the book yet. O-Dog said, Andre Owens plays in the big three. LOL, y'all look nothing alike. All right, y'all don't even know who Andre Owens is. So I don't think we look anything alike. I never heard anybody say that. So let me see. Let's see if I can find out what he looks like. Andre Owens. So Andre Owens it looks like he was in the NBA shortly for a brief time. He's 6'4", so about the same height. And he is American former professional basketball player and coach, Andre Owens. He just got named assistant basketball coach at Rice University. Is this the same guy? No, it's a different guy. No, I think this is somebody else. Is this the same guy? No, it's a different guy, I think. This Andre Owens, I don't look anything like this dude. So let me see. I'm getting a close up of him. This is Andre Owens, this guy who played for the Pacers. Yeah, where do you see a similarity between him and me? I know all black guys look alike, but you couldn't come up with something that came a little bit closer? Let me see. Let me see if I can find a picture of him with less hair. Maybe that's what he came from. So I see a picture of him playing in the Big Three. Looks like he was playing for a team called the Aliens. Is this him? Playing for the Aliens in the... Someone said they can't hear me. Can y'all hear me on Instagram? Somebody put in a comment if you can hear me or not. My mic's on. Can y'all hear me on Instagram? So this guy is in the WNBA. First of all, this dude is like 40 pounds heavier than me. I've never been this weight, what he looks like. Looking at his arms and his legs, he's very heavy. Secondly, I've never had a beard that looked anything like that. He got the bald head, and we're both black, so I get that part. But everything, that's where the similarities end. He is kind of, he's got some extra heft on him. He got a little bit of a stomach. I've never had a stomach. He got, I don't look anything like this dude, so I don't know where you got that from. All right, so people on Instagram saying they can hear me. So Corey, you might want to check your audio. So O-Dog says the WNBA has mismarketed. They need to get away from the Butch lesbian image. Men like pretty women. Women admire pretty women. Lesbians aren't good for marketing. Yes, I said it. Well, if they're good players, then they can just focus on the ball. The thing is, even when they had the draft last year, the women were all looking feminine. I was like, okay, these women are actually presenting themselves as feminine women who want to be looked at as like physically attractive by men. I don't know if they're all interested in men, but they look like they were trying to play that game. So I heard Gilbert Arenas say similar things many years ago. He was kind of being funny, but yeah. I don't know what you do though. If you got a really good player who happens to be a lesbian, you still got to roll with that because that is the product. The product is basketball, so we do got to keep it. We got to remember that. So Downey said, "Crazy they bundled minorities together and tried to sell us on DEI. They didn't try. They did. What do you mean they tried? They sold DEI. DEI worked. It worked. Not it worked as in it did good things, but the concept of DEI worked in that it sold heavily for a very long time. For a good DEI was around in like 2015." And it hit its ceiling around 2020 and 2021. Now it's calming down, but it worked for a long time. A lot of people made a lot of money off DEI. But when they try to nowadays you hear people saying black and brown people. Like black and brown people like the same thing. Black people got a whole different path than brown people. We are not one group. And LGBTQ is not part of the group. Just because you happen to be black and you happen to be gay does not mean that black and gay is together. No. You are in two different groups. You got to go to two different meetings. Black meeting is over here and the gay meeting is over there. But it ain't one meeting of all black and gay people. No. So that one is on the docket. That topic may come. Kelly said, WNBA needs all the help it can get. Angel is their best marketing yet. No, Caitlin Clark is their best marketing. Because Caitlin Clark has a whole bunch of fans. She got more fans than Angel Reese. Fans that spend more money than Angel Reese's fans. And she's actually better at basketball than Angel Reese. So their best is Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese is like the counterbalance, so to speak, of Clark. Somewhat of a counterbalance. No Dog says the appeal of women is her grace and beauty. The appeal of man is mastery of his craft. Women mastery is secondary and aesthetic is primary. With men mastery, craft is primary. Yeah, generally speaking, you are correct. But the problem is we're talking about playing basketball, and the product still is basketball. All right, so we still have to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is playing basketball. But one of the reasons why the WNBA is not as popular as the NBA is because of what you said. That's a craft. For playing basketball is a craft, and it requires a certain amount of masculinity to even play a sport competitively. And you're asking a woman to do something that goes against her natural instinct of being feminine by being masculine, by competing, period. So there's already a disconnect between the way we are naturally, our natural tendencies. Was one of the reasons why WNBA is never going to be as popular as the NBA. And people will try to make it seem like it is, but it will never get there. Odell said basketball is secondary. Yes, exactly. So we're on the same page. You need to focus on skill development, but the league would be much more popular if Clark was a dime and she's not. Well, I don't know what we're supposed to do about that. Odell. I don't know what we're supposed to do about that. I don't know if we're going to turn her into one. I think she is what she is. And the thing is, if she was a dime, as you described, O-Dog, maybe she never would have been inclined to play basketball. She would have been doing something else. Like, you notice that you don't see a whole lot of I think about this often, that when it comes to women, you don't see a whole lot of women who fit certain physical aesthetics doing certain jobs. And you don't see women who fit other certain aesthetics doing other jobs. It just doesn't happen. So a woman who is super feminine and super, let's say a dime, as you say, for those of you who don't know dime, that means a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. A woman who's a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 probably is not going to become a basketball player because her physical beauty leads her to other opportunities that have nothing to do with playing a sport competitively. Doesn't mean it can't be a pretty girl who plays basketball. But all the pretty girls, you take all the pretty girls in the town, most of them ain't basketball players. They're doing a whole bunch of other things that ain't competing because competitiveness requires masculinity and testosterone. And a really pretty girl is high in femininity and estrogen. So it just doesn't match. Again, it doesn't mean it can't be a couple pretty girls playing basketball, but they're the exception, not the rule. Kelly said rivalries are good for the WNBA. Sure. All right, let's get some. Let's get some good teams and some really good players that everybody knows. And yes, there's a rivalry. O-Dog says Skylar Diggins was a 9 at one point, but not as dominant as Clark. Yeah, she was an exception. I remember when she was trending on social media years ago, and it wasn't because of her basketball. She happened to be good, and people were saying, damn, this girl is really cute. But again, most of the cutest girls in the town that she comes from weren't playing basketball. She just happened to play basketball. That was an exception, not a rule. O-Dog said the chick Jaylen Brown was running around with was real fine, but she's not on the team anymore. Well, there you go. I don't even know who you're talking about, but I think I saw something like Jaylen Brown was dating some girl who played in the WNBA. Yeah, she was so pretty, she prettied her way out of the league. She prettied her way out of a career in basketball, and she's doing something else. She's probably a model or something that requires more femininity. All right, playing basketball is not a feminine thing to do. Sports are masculine. So if what you're saying is correct, O-Dog, the problem, the issue is, if you want really pretty girls, you probably shouldn't be watching the WNBA. You should be looking at Instagram or signing up for OnlyFans or whatever you do. Go to the mall. I don't know, but you ain't gonna find them in the WNBA. It just doesn't add up. The prettiest girls don't go and play sports. They go do things that don't require them to mess up their nails or possibly get hit in the face or have big muscles. They do things that they go find men who do that stuff. And those men take care of the pretty girls. That's pretty much the way it works in life. Okay, all that being said, folks, we're going to wrap this one up. I do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back tomorrow. If you didn't like this one, come back tomorrow. If you're not sure, come back tomorrow. If you missed this one and you're watching on replay, come back tomorrow. The topic is to be determined. I told you a few of these that we may throw out there in a moment. A moment ago, I told you a few we may throw out there. So we'll see. Maybe something comes up today. Maybe something will be coming off this list tomorrow that we'll be talking about. O-Dog said, they need me and you to run the WNBA. We understand the assignment. Well, it depends what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the best players or we're trying to get pretty girls. That's two different things. If we're trying to get pretty girls, it's going to be a whole different audience, by the way. All right, so it depends what we're trying to do. And Corey Harris, you got the audio now. Goval said, great straw man description. What is your profession? I run a company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. We do coaching, training, consulting, speaking, and we do courses and programs for individuals and for businesses around areas of sales, discipline, mindset, performance, entrepreneurship. You can find out more about that at the link in my profile, whichever app you're watching me on. Just go to the link in my profile. You'll see that. The replay to this live stream will be on YouTube as soon as this is done. I'm recording on YouTube right now. Also Rumble Studio, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And what else? Oh, make sure you follow me on Instagram. My Instagram link, TikTok, is in my profile, and my YouTube to get the replays to any live that you didn't see or anything you missed. That link is in my profile as well. I'll see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. We are out of here. Everybody have a great Thursday.